You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Welcome to Thursday. My name is Brock.
I'm Dalby.
In other news, Mitch Marner had his first press conference yesterday as a Vegas Golden Knight, and here's what he said about leaving the Leafs and joining Vegas.
I was so grateful to play there for 9 years. I said it at my end of the year interview there that I took a risky pick on a small kid from Toronto that, you know, was forever grateful to be able to wear a Maple Leaf jersey and forever to be able to play in front of, you know, some of the greats that ever wore that jersey. You know, just now it's being a family man, a father. You know, we thought our time was, you know, ready to look somewhere else and find a new home and find a new place to grow our family. And like I said, I'm so grateful to be here and so happy to be a part of this team.
The only problem I have with any of that is when you think of family, you think of Las Vegas, right?
Not a great endorsement of the city of Toronto that he's like, I loved my time in Toronto, but I want to raise my family somewhere safe, like Las Vegas.
I think of what he's trying to say is I just had a kid and I don't need to deal with the media right now.
Yeah.
I think moving to a market like Vegas, it's like you're going to be able to walk around the streets. No one's going to bug you. No one's going to be yelling at your family if you lose in the playoffs.
Hiding in plain sight. Your kids won't get bullied if you have a bad game. I want to ask you something about what he said, though. He said that you'll always be grateful that the Leafs took a risky pick on a small kid from Toronto. Looking 9 years ahead now, was that risky pick, did it pay off?
I'm not like a lot of the
win.
Leafs fans that are like, he should get him out of here. Yeah. I loved Mitch Marner. I love Austin Matthews. I love William Nylander. But, I mean, something had to change, man.
Yeah.
I think that's all it was, is we just needed some change. You had to get rid of a coach last year. They got a new coach in there. It's about time you change up the core four, as they call it.
And now that he's in Las Vegas, they will be winning the Stanley Cup this year, right? That's how it works?
I hope so.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Every week we like to censor out our artist of the week and make their song sound dirty, although it is the Tragically Hip this week and it feels somewhat sacrilegious doing this, I'm not going to lie.
Especially just days after Canada Day.
Yeah, so don't be mad at me, but we did censor out some Tragically Hip songs. We'll start with 38 Years Old. Feels like an easy one.
He's 38 years old, never a girl.
It writes itself.
Yeah, I think that's what he was going for.
I think it's the implication.
Fireworks kind of has the same kind of thing.
If there's a that everyone remembers, it was back in 72. We all squeezed the and we all pulled the trigger, and all I remember is sitting beside you.
Sounds like more of a scarring memory than watching a great hockey game.
That's how I'm going to hear that for the rest of my life now.
A lot of people suggested I do Long Time Running.
It's been a long
Oh, no.
Which the follow-up to that is perfect with the censor.
time coming.
Works out. We all know Ahead by a Century.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where the hornets me. And I had a feverish dream.
Damn, Hornet.
Sometimes it feels like that's what they're trying to do together.
Getting frisky over here.
And one of my favorite Tragically Hip songs of all time is Gotta Be Little Bones. I'm sorry, this feels so wrong doing this.
I don't think it's little at all. I think it's perfectly average. Some people might even say that they're big bones. You know?
I've got one more, okay? I've got
okay.
one more. We'll do Twist My Arm.
Yeah, do I want to all that charm? Do I want to twist my
I'm sorry, I know, I shouldn't have done this one.
Having talk as the word at the end of the first sentence really drives home what that beat feels like in the second.
Feel awful for doing this.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I saw this story. This is from November, but it's crazy. In Georgia, down in the States, police showed up to a house to arrest, like handcuffs, you're going to jail, getting booked, a mom for what they say childhood endangerment because she let her kid walk to the Dollar General.
She just let her kid walk to the store by himself? How old was the kid?
10 years old. Son's 10 years old. Just looks like an average-sized kid, a little blonde fella.
She got arrested for that?
1 mile away, apparently, somebody else in the neighborhood saw this kid, quote, wandering the streets as he was walking to the store to pick up some snacks and come back home. She called the police. Police showed up, did a wellness check on the kid, who at this point is now walking back from the store and is like, yeah, I'm fine. They ask, how old are you? All that stuff. They go and get a warrant, show up at the house, and they arrest the mom, take her away in front of, she's got 4 kids, take her away in front of the other kids in handcuffs for childhood endangerment.
Is that illegal to let your kid walk to the store now?
That's the thing, is like there is no specific law on the books that they were able to cite as like, oh no, if your kid is 11, it's okay. If they're 10 or under, then it's illegal. But just in general, they were like, your kid is out walking on a busy street by himself. That's illegal. You're going to prison. And I'm just thinking, like, I think every kid that I grew up with's parents would have been in jail if we were enforcing stuff like this.
Oh, my God. I mean, the person who called that in sucks so bad.
Well, that person is obviously the bad person of the story. Like, to see a kid walking in the neighborhood and just be like, I must alert the authorities is crazy. Like, we used to walk everywhere by ourselves. Our parents didn't handhold us to parks and to stores and stuff like that.
I feel like there's such a huge difference between parents now and when you were growing up. And, maybe for the better. I think parenting is a little more balanced than a lot of us grew up with. But
sure.
Also a lot way more overprotective. And then I always wonder with parents today who really overshadow or maybe like helicopter a little too much. Is there anything that you did as a kid that you wouldn't let your kids do?
I mean, we owned lawn darts as a kid. I think I'm a little bit more cognizant of the things that I let my kids bring into the house. You know what I mean?
I mean, even I guess not even stuff like that. I mean, if I was ever to have a kid, which I don't plan on having, but I think I'd be a little more hesitant on letting my kid go to the skate park by himself. Just because I knew how, it was for me.
How things went down
there.
Going
to the skate park was a part of my, every day from 14 to 18 or whatever. But then also, it's that's where I got into some shenanigans sometimes, so.
I think over and above that, you're 100% right. Maybe you're a little bit more cognizant of, I grew up in that place. I don't want you going to that place.
Or even, things like, I as a kid who grew up with the internet, I could see that how anybody who's my age that has kids, how you're very scared when your kid gets on the internet.
Oh, my God. The idea of, we used to have, when we got dial-up internet, back when I lived in Hay River, I had it in the basement. That was where the computer was. I was fully separate from the family. I could browse whatever I wanted because I could hear them coming down the stairs and have plenty of time to close the browser window. Now my kids can take a fully internet-connected tablet and go anywhere they want with it, and I'm just like, hey, let me just put on some parent software before you take a walk with that thing.
My parents had no idea that we were on chat roulette and stuff like that,
My parents had no idea I was downloading pictures 1 pixel at a time to see what it looked like.
I've seen.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
What would you say is the biggest difference from when you were growing up as a kid versus kids how they grow up now?
We had all the freedom in the world back then. I don't know what the kids nowadays. My adult children are probably older than you. So.
Now, is there anything that you did when you were a kid that you wouldn't let kids do now?
Oh, just about everything.
The world's a scarier place now.
But we have, like I said, back then it was always a group of 10 of us that would be wandering around together. So it's safer in that aspect, I guess.
That is something I've kind of with my kids at school, they've got their small little groups or whatever, but it does feel like even when I was a kid, you kind of rolled in a bigger
squad.
group.
Yeah.
So if 10 of you all went to the skate park at the same time, you wouldn't have to necessarily worry as much about getting in trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
No, because you were all getting in trouble together.
Well, that's different.
Kind of, sort of, yeah.
Obviously, you could get into more trouble if you've got the larger group, but you didn't have to worry about if someone showed up and there was you and 12 other friends. it was a good chance you were going to be able to alert somebody before anything bad happened.
Sure.
We've also got friend of the show, Jordan, on the line. Jordan, what did you guys used to get up to when you were kids?
One thing definitely we got away with as kids that they can't really do nowadays is running around the streets with cap guns going bang, bang against at each other.
Yeah. Honestly, like even the cap guns back then, like they had the little orange tube on them or whatever. Nowadays, the toy guns look like they're out of a video game, and people still call the bylaw.
Yep. Meanwhile, when we were kids, we could just literally own the entire neighborhood with playing around with cap guns, and now you can't even do it in your own yard.
Yeah, it was cap guns and then fireworks. I remember my mom buying us fireworks and like firecrackers or like cherry bombs when we were a kid, and it was just, hey, go have fun.
Yeah. Just go make a bunch of noise. Whereas now, like, we have all these news stories about, like, this person blew their hand off and this person blew up their foot or started a fire.
I think it's kind of like there was the Christmas Story mentality of, like, you'll shoot your eye out, but it's on you.
That's right. Yeah, you have the information.
It's
this
not
is
bad
dangerous.
parenting. It was a stupid kid.
Also, BB guns just in general, talking about the, like, you'll shoot your eye out, or Jordan talking about cap guns. Like, I feel like most parents these days would not give their kids BB guns, slingshots, all these other devices that we used to use as kids to torture each other. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
We've got friend of the show, Brother Jay, on the line. What are you thinking, man?
I would not let them smoke.
That was definitely not as harshed on back in the day. Like, there are parents whose idea of making you not smoke was to make you smoke a pack of cigarettes all at once.
Yeah, that was my dad's biggest thing. If I ever catch you smoking cigarettes, you're going to smoke a whole pack. And you get about 3 cigarettes in and you're green and puking.
Yeah. My mom used to harp on us for that, and then now it's like I go to her house and my mom's like, do you got to smoke?
Can I bum one?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the way my dad is now. He's like, hey, I got an extra butt.
I wonder if there's going to be parents today that, like, find a vape on their kid and they're like, I'm going to make you smoke an entire pod.
I'm going to make you smoke this whole tank.
Yeah. Make you put every zin in your mouth.
This is the Brock and Delby Podcast.
Hot dog.
One of the greatest events of the year is coming up tomorrow, the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest, and of course the return of Joey Chestnut.
So we talk about how sports always take a dip after hockey's over, after basketball's over, we're waiting for football, but this is the oasis in the desert of summer sports.
It's a big event, too. I was looking at some stats. It's estimated that there's going to be 35,000 people at Coney Island tomorrow for the big event. On top of that, they say around 2 million people are expected to tune in from home, which is insane considering the CFL averages 450,000 a game.
Right? And it's just to watch people stuff hot dogs in their mouth, and it doesn't even include all the people that will watch highlights later on in the day.
I was curious how many hot dogs they actually make for the event. Apparently, they cook 1,300 hot dogs. Approximately 1,000 hot dogs are prepared for the 16 male competitors, and they say about 325 hot dogs are prepared for the 16 female competitors there.
Bit of a difference.
And then on top of that, I also found out that, did you know that there is a no vomiting rule? So obviously during the contest, if you puke, you're eliminated.
Yes.
But after, even if you win, you have to keep the dogs down for 10 minutes. Once the contest ends, 10 minutes is over, you can upchuck if you want.
I wonder how many people have made it to 10 and then just let it fly.
Well, here's the thing is that, like, if you're the winner and then you throw up, you're obviously eliminated. But if you're in second place, that does mean that you need to keep your dogs down just to see if that guy's going to do it, right?
Yeah, because you're right. You'd think like, oh, well, I didn't win. Who cares? I can do whatever I want. But you're right. If first place ends up spewing, if Chestnut somehow lets it go, you'd hate to think, oh my God, that could have been me.
You're next in line, right? And then something else that I was curious about is how do you end up getting into this contest, right? So here's the thing. Obviously, you have to be 18 or older, but you also have to qualify. So whether it's through the Major League Eating Organization, which if you didn't know is a real thing, or if there's any sort of Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest throughout the year, that's one way that you can qualify, but you need to start getting into the ranks as well.
Right. You can't just show up a complete unknown and put yourself on this big stage.
You actually have to be invited. This isn't something where, like, you can show up to our fair, like, you know, whatever, watermelon eating contest, pie eating contest, whatever.
Right.
You actually need to have a world rank to be invited to this thing.
Well, yeah, it's a serious competition. We only want the best of the best of the best to be up there.
There have been people who have been jumping through wiener hoops for years to try and get into this contest and never do, actually.
The world's most elite masticators will be showing up to Coney Island this tomorrow, and it's only the elites.
So something to think about. I know like hockey tryouts and stuff are going on. If maybe you're looking at your kid and the NHL isn't in their future, swing by the grocery store, grab him a pack of Schneiders, get him to start practicing, man.
Put him on the right track.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
It's time for Brock and Dalby's Draft.
Oasis is having their first show back together in almost 16 years tomorrow. So I was thinking, since the Gallagher brothers are getting back together, we should do a brothers draft here this morning.
And only real brothers, which took immediately Mario and Luigi off my draft board.
Eliminated, no Kane and Undertaker Brothers of Destruction either.
No Blues Brothers.
No Blues Brothers.
Fictional Brothers could be its own draft.
It really could, actually.
But you did, for the 5th time in a row, win rock, paper, scissors. So you once again have the first pick.
I'll say this. The Gallagher brothers are not on my list, but in at number 1, I am going with a musical set of brothers, and I'm going to go with the Young brothers. I'm going to go with Malcolm and Angus Young from AC/DC.
That was my first round pick, too. Yeah, that's just easy. Legendary rock and roll international icon.
Created one of the most longest running bands of all time, influenced many, responsible for so many kick-ass songs and riffs.
I will then go the other way because that is the musical pick. I will go to the world of sports and maybe the most successful brother duo, Super Bowl winners, award-winning broadcasters. They've done TV. They're famous on the internet. It's Eli and Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest brother tandem in sports, other than maybe Wayne and Brent Gretzky?
I disagree with the biggest set of brothers in sports, because I am going to go with the Sutter brothers.
Okay.
6 brothers in the NHL. You got Brian, Brent, Daryl, who's the most famous, Dwayne, Rich, and Ron Sutter as well. Combined almost 5,000 NHL games there. They totaled almost 3,000 points as well.
Is it that the Sutter brothers were successful, or is it that the Sutter parents just made 11,000 of them?
They knew how to breed hockey players. That's for damn sure.
There's no question about that.
But when you think about big names in hockey, the Sutter family comes up, and the fact that they're all brothers just adds to it.
Well, yeah, because you couldn't spit at a roster in the 90s without hitting 3 or 4 of them. I'll move away from sports for my second round pick to maybe one of the most important sets of brothers in the history of our planet, at the very least, the history of transportation. We're going to Kitty Hawk. We're going the Wright brothers. Orville and Wilbur invented the goddamn airplane.
2 great names, by the way.
Absolutely. If you are pregnant and you have not yet picked the name, if it's a boy, Orville and Wilbur are both excellent options.
My final pick, this one's kind of like a little bit off the board, and some people forget that he has a brother. I'm going to go with Eddie Murphy and Charlie Murphy.
Oh, that's very much a Wayne and Brent Gretzky situation of one is bigger than the other.
One is 100% bigger than the other, but Charlie Murphy stole my heart by being on Dave Chappelle's show with all his wild stories of his brother's kind of escapades and whatnot there.
Absolutely. He for a time, I would say around the Chappelle show, was the bigger Murphy, because Eddie was kind of going through it.
And I'll say this, that if you've never seen the story Charlie Murphy tells of hanging out with Prince and playing basketball against him, he deserves to be on this list just for that.
Game blouses.
Pancakes.
You know what? I will finish with another brother tandem that meant a lot to me and a lot of other Canadian kids as we were growing up, and that is Brett and Owen Hart.
Oh, I didn't even think about the Hart brothers.
If you really want to factor it in, you can go Brett and Owen Hart are the main brothers, but there's also there are almost as many Harts as there are Sutters.
Yeah.
If you want to get into
the Hart family is the Sutter family of wrestling.
Even if you bring it into the in-laws, which is not what we're doing, but then you've got the British Bulldog, and you've got Jim Neidhart, and then you've got the other Ross Hart and Stu Hart, all these Harts all over the place. But Brett and Owen, WrestleMania main eventers, the icons in Canadian wrestling.
My first pick for the Brothers draft, I got Malcolm and Angus Young of AC/DC coming in at number 2. I've got the Sutter brothers there, and coming in at number 3, I went Charlie and Eddie Murphy.
I got Eli and Peyton Manning in my first round pick, Orville and Wilbur Wright, who invented the airplane, at number 2, and then, of course, I had to pick a wrestling brother team, Brett and Owen Hart.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
All right. I am man enough to admit when I've lost. Victory! I'm catching a W this morning.
All you got to do is go back to the invention of the airplane if you want to win a draft around these here parts.
A lot of brothers that we did not get in our list. The Van Halens, of course. The Abbott brothers, Vinnie Paul and Dimebag Darrell as well.
That's right. The Allman Brothers is another one that somebody texted in terms of music.
The Sedines, a lot of people texted in there. The Baldwin brothers.
But the Sutters of acting. In that there was just so damn
the
many
Wayans
of them.
brothers as well, I forgot about.
Wayans brothers is another one where it was just like, how many of you are there? But
right?
they all had a decent amount of success. Another one that I want to give an honorable mention to that I had, but I didn't go with because I was nervous people wouldn't know. Do you know who the Klitschko brothers are?
No.
They are 2 Ukrainian giant farm boys that were the most dominant heavyweight boxers in the mid 2000s.
Oh, okay.
They won all 4 between the 2 brothers. Won all 4 of boxing's major heavyweight titles and just beat the hell out of people.
Well, a few people texted in because you took the Manning brothers. A few people said, what about the Kelsey brothers right now? So if you think about it, they have more Super Bowls than the Mannings do. So.
I guess so. That's true. I didn't even think about that.
Right? And there's a whole generation of kids that are probably looking at them the way I looked at the Mannings growing up.
Well, and even because I mentioned with the Mannings, right? Both very successful football careers, but now they've taken it that next step. They've gone into the broadcasting with the Monday Night Football simulcast and stuff like that, which is basically what the Kelseys have done with their podcast.
Yeah, and then finally a lot of people texting in about the Kennedys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, a lot of tragedy there, though. Some dark times for the Kennedys.
Yeah, that one didn't pop in my head when it should have,
Come on now.
Too soon?
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I feel like we did a disservice yesterday when we came back and did not acknowledge the full retirement of the hockey insider, Bob McKenzie.
Yeah, after, was it 48 years, 47 years? He's finally legit retiring.
Hell of a run, man. It started with the Sioux Star, moved up to all the big newspapers, Globe and Mail, Toronto Star. And then I think I saw in his sort of farewell letter, he said he got to TSN in 86.
Damn, really?
Which means I was 3 years old when that man took over basically
I wasn't
raising
even a twinkle in my dad's eye yet.
Not the eye, not nothing.
I will say Bob McKenzie was one of the few people growing up that it's if he said something, I believed it.
Yeah, I mean, even nowadays where you have to take everything with a grain of salt and there's all these journalists and sources and stuff like that everybody wants to be first to break the story and not necessarily be right.
Mm-hmm.
Bob McKenzie was always the guy that you were like, I heard about a trade rumor, but when Bob tweets it out, I'll be like, okay, now it's for real.
Yeah. Now it's time for his son to step up. You didn't know his son Sean's on Sportsnet there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's the one that always does the pregame stuff before Leafs games or Habs games on Sportsnet.
Oh, okay.
Now that you know, you'll see it in their face. They look
Yeah.
identical too.
Dude, talk about tough shoes to fill, though.
Well, even I was going to say, I think Elliot Friedman is the Bob McKenzie for a younger generation right now.
Oh, absolutely. I just meant imagine trying to live up to your dad, but your dad is Bob friggin' McKenzie.
I mean, there's probably a reason he got the job because of his dad.
I mean, he's just across the street, right? It's competing stations.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
Probably not a full Nepo hire, but it probably helped him get his foot in the door.
It most definitely did.
It's crazy, though, because, you talk about that's his son. Bob McKenzie raised more Canadian children than I think a lot of other people.
Bob McKenzie and Don Cherry and Ron McLean for sure.
That was the trio. That was the trinity of if you were a Canadian kid who liked hockey, you probably spent just as much time, if not more so, with Bob and Don and Ron than you did with your own parents.
For sure.
Your parents were doing other things, and you were plopped right in front of SportsCenter watching the highlights.
Who's that? And then I'd say for me would be like Rick Campanelli and George Stroumboulopoulos. George Stroumboulopoulos on Much Music, not on Hockey Night in Canada.
No. That's a very key distinction. Yeah.
Two different Georges.
There's Much Music George. There's Strombo Show George, which I think also he raised a good handful of people.
Yeah.
And then there is Hockey Night in Canada George, which even George is not necessarily pumped about.
We've got friend of the show, Ben, on the phone. Ben, who were you raised by via television?
How about the WWF stars of past days, like Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, those kind of guys?
I mean, I'm surprised you didn't say that, Dolby.
Honestly, yeah, for me, it would probably be more Bret Hart, although I will say the only reason I ever thought about taking vitamins was Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, bushwhackers were pretty cool back in the day, too. So
see, I'm a different generation. I was raised via Stone Cold Steve Austin via pay-per-view.
Which would explain why you flip everybody off all the time.
I learned a lot of stuff from that Attitude Era, you know. I didn't even need sex ed class. I just watched WWF.
For sure.
There's so much stuff that I just learned from pro wrestling as a kid.
It is funny to think of the different generations, though. Like, for me growing up, it was like the excellence of execution, try your hardest, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, do your training. And for you, it was don't trust anybody and suck it.
Yeah, not giving a damn. Yeah, and then my parents wondered why I acted up.
Why you turned out the way you did. Yeah. It's because they let you watch too much Monday Night Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Another generational raising person that I saw on the text line from a few people, Red Green.
True.
Bust out the duct tape. You can fix anything yourself. If
yeah,
the women
but
don't
I also
find
feel
you
like
handsome.
that's why you got a generation of terrible contractors now. You got kids that used to watch their dad watch the show for fun, and then they're like, oh, okay, yeah.
That's how you fix stuff.
Half-ass something.
Yeah.
Put it together sloppily. And that's why you hire some guy, and you're like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah. And then on the other side, I saw a lot of the children's shows. Mr. Dress Up, obviously a mainstay. And then down in the States, Mr. Rogers also raised his fair amount of children.
Yeah, but I also feel like gave a lot of kids the fear of puppets.
The fear of puppets? Were you scared of the tickle trunk when you were a kid?
Terrified. Terrified. Imagine being left in that room alone with those things.
Oh, man, Casey and Finnegan were like childhood best friends for a nerd like me. What are you talking about? Those guys were all I had some days.
Your friends were my nightmare.
The Brock and Dolby Podcast.
The Brock and Dolby Podcast.
All right, we've got $100 in Lotto 649 tickets, and of course we are playing America.
$16 million gold ball jackpot, guaranteed $1 million prize on Saturday. Classic $5 million jackpot also up for grabs.
We got this suggestion on the text line for American impressions.
They took our jobs.
All right, so we've got 3 contestants on the phone.
One of the most memorable quotes from South Park, a show filled with many memorable quotes, but that's got the most America behind it.
If you are not one of the people complaining that they took your job, you are a judge. So 762-555. Let us know who does it the best here this morning. We will start on line 1. Hey, good morning. Who's this?
Good morning. It's Bruce.
Bruce, are you ready to play?
Absolutely.
All right, this is what we need you to do.
They took our jobs.
They took our jobs.
There you go. Solid intro. That's the perfect start.
All right, stay on hold there. All right, we go to line 2. Hey, good morning. Who's this?
It's Jason.
Jason, are you ready to play?
Yes, I am.
All right, we need you to do this.
They took our jobs.
They took our jobs.
All right, good stuff.
Sounded like Cheech and Chong.
Yeah, kind of. All right, we go to line 3 here. Hey, good morning. Who's this?
Morning, it's Jesse.
Jesse, are you ready to play?
I am ready.
All right, what do you think of your competition so far?
Pretty good. Feeling the heat.
All right.
They took our jobs.
Let's hear it, buddy.
They took a job.
There it is.
That's
the one.
That was perfect.
That was spot on, Jesse. Well done.
You get the ding.
I appreciate that.
The round of applause. And I don't know if you have a job or not, but you do get $100 in Lotto 649 tickets, all right?
Well, thank you very much.
You know what you can say? I took their Lotto tickets.
I took their Lotto tickets.
This is the Brock and Delby Podcast.
Send us a text. Send us your questions. 762-555 right now. Woo! Ask us anything that you want. Questions, comments, or anything on your brain. Ask me and Dolby 762-555.
Why did you turn into the guy from Cypress Hill at
All right, let's get her going. 762-555. First question in here says, do you guys listen to other radio stations and judge them? I mean, yeah, I think it's like any career. It's like, if you're an architect, you go and look at buildings and you're like, ugh.
I think it works both ways. Like, there are other radio stations and other radio DJs.
You're like, oh, I wish we did that.
That's right. Yeah. That you look up to, or that you sort of
you're
model
like, oh,
yourself.
Man, they get paid more.
That's right. And then there are other ones out there where you're just like, it bothers me that people think we do the same job.
Yeah, you hear some people talk and you're like, what are you doing?
You don't have to be doing this.
Someone said, what's the deal with finding one random shoe on the side of the road? We've talked about this before. It's almost like a video game where if you find it,
that's right,
you add it to your collection or something.
Yeah, you put it in your inventory, or at the very least it starts a side quest where if you want, you can pursue, you can try and figure out what happened to that other shoe.
It is scary because sometimes you see that and you're like, is that person still alive?
Well, that's just it, right? It could go so many ways. It could be something as simple as a prank where someone took one shoe and threw it away, or it could be something serious.
Sometimes I find underwear like on the side of the road and I'm like, what happened there?
I am fairly certain I saw a pair of fuzzy shorts in the parking lot this morning as I was pulling in, and that's one of those ones where I don't think I'm gonna ask questions.
Well, sometimes I wonder, I'm like, do you think it was something sexual, or do you think someone just crapped their pants?
And just needed to get rid of the evidence?
Right?
That's probably more likely.
Someone said, has anyone else noticed the amount of transports cutting off and passing other transports now? Yeah, I have noticed that when I go on the highway. I don't know if they're racing or like, I don't know what the deal is.
Well, I think it's just like anybody else, right? Like when you talk to somebody about being on the highway, one of the most frustrating things is getting stuck behind a transport. I have to feel like that also applies to other transports who are just like, God, get off the road.
I have read a lot of stuff online that there are a lot of people getting their licenses now like a lot easier and stuff. So I think you've probably got like veteran drivers versus rookie drivers is probably what it is.
There's a bit of a generational divide. Yeah, the new school versus the old school.
What's the worst place to get a mosquito bite?
I would say it's on the ankle. Right about where we got our nipple tattoos, to be honest.
I would say that too, because especially when you sleep, you'll scratch it with your foot. But also, I went camping one time and slept naked and made the mistake. And if you've ever gotten a mosquito bite anywhere near your private parts,
oh, God,
that is brutal. Like, you can't even do the X thing. You can't even really scratch it because then it looks like you have crabs.
I will say that out of all of the parts of my body that have ever seen DEET, I don't think my privates have ever gotten a sprint.
Have you never gotten a mosquito bite on your ass before?
Not on my ass, no, surprisingly.
That sucks.
You know what's a bad one? Eyebrow. Is there a good place to get bit by a mosquito now that we're talking about it? Because I'm also thinking like, getting one on the hands always sucks.
No, the hands is brutal, yeah.
Anywhere on the feet, anywhere on the neck is not fun. Like, there's not a good place where you're like, well, at least I got the mosquito bite on my left shoulder or something like that.
I mean, I said the privates, but if you needed some extra length or something, it could help you.
A little bit of swelling never hurt nobody.
This is the Brock and Delby Podcast.
Ed's word of the day.
Good morning. Now today's word is Pollyanna. Yep, Pollyanna. Pollyanna.
And that's Pollyanna. Anyways, it's a person characterized by excessive optimism. Well, I like to be optimistic. That optimistic's cool. Always trying to find the positive. However, I'm a realist too. I can take that. Real's real.
What?
Optimism's awesome though. Anyways, that's just about other.
No.
Have a great one. Cheers.
Went a little off the rails there, but at the end of the day, yeah, Pollyanna is just somebody. It's too much. Like somebody who almost refuses to acknowledge that there are bad things in the world.
I think also Pollyanna could be that person, like, when you get to work early in the morning and you're just like, why am I here? I hate my life. I hate my job. And they're like, hey!
Oh, too much energy.
That's Pollyanna.
Too much first thing in the morning. Everyone here is at least a little bit miserable. And you are either pretending that you're not, or you're a psychopath and you actually aren't. And either way, Pollyanna, you're just going to need to go sit in your office by yourself for a little bit.
Pollyanna, Pollyanna, Pollyanna. Use it wherever you can today, all right?
Want to be a part of the podcast?
Leave a message on the Bad Line.
The Bad Line is the answering machine for the Brock and Dalby Show.
To get the number, text the word BAD to 762-555.
Thanks for listening to the Brock and Dalby podcast.